Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all. Dear authors and invited guests, welcome to technical session 3B. My name is Jay Lalwani and I am the co-moderator of this session. And if you have any query or update, so write me in the chat box. Uh, on behalf of Global Knowledge Research Foundation, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to the 6th International Conference on Information and Communication Technology for Intelligent Systems through Zoom. Further, as you all aware, we have been facing new normal situation over pandemic. Uh, Hence, the conference has been shifted to a hybrid mode. We hope you will enjoy 2 days of knowledgeable and interactive sessions. Uh, we also hope you to have a future physical version of the conference. Also, there is a special note for the presenters. It will be given 7 to 8 minutes for presentation and 2 minutes for question and answer. On 7 minutes, I will raise a gentle reminder. Uh, and I request while the presentation is going on, other participants kindly be muted. There is another request to all the participants that you all stay connected with us till the closing remarks. Just before we get started, I will introduce you to the chair for this session. Just continue. Professor Meenakshi Sumit Arya. Dr. Arya is an experienced academician with a demonstrated history of working in the education management industry, skilled in machine learning, big data analysis, algorithms, data structures, and programming language. She holds a PhD degree in computer science and engineering. She is presently working as a professor of artificial intelligence and associate Director Global Universities Partnership at MIT World Peace University Pune and mentoring the Center of Excellence in AI ML NVIDIA Jetson at SRM Chennai. She is certified NVIDIA DLI instructor and has trained around 2000 plus students and professionals on the fundamentals of deep learning course run by NVIDIA. Research interests include data science and analytics, machine learning, deep learning, and digital image processing. And she has multiple journals and conferences, publication, as well as books, chapters of her credit. Dr. Arya is a senior IEEE member, fellow of IETE, and lifetime member of ISTE. She also serves the editorial and review board of multitude of journals related to computer science. Uh, He's topper from university in MTech course. He has been awarded the top 20 influential women educators in Tamil Nadu for year 2019, top 50 in influential research guides in the India for year 2019 by the Academic Council of Alkids and Bharat Shivalik Gawar Puraskar by KTK Foundation. Welcome, ma'am. Uh,
Thank you, Jay. Yeah.
yes,
So
ma'am.
shall we begin the session?
Yes, ma'am.
So as Jay has already given the instructions regarding the session, I'll request all the participants, all the presenters to kindly follow the time line strictly. I would like to invite the first presenter, Prabsimar Singh Taneja, to present his paper on malware family categorization using genetic algorithm CNN-based image classification technique.
Hi, good afternoon, ma'am. I'll just share my screen. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, it's visible. Please go.
Perfect. Hi, so my name is Prabsimar, and our topic is malware family categorization using genetic algorithm CNN-based image classification techniques. So malware analysis and the classification of malware families using different techniques is quite prominent in the field of research nowadays. And as part of our research, we've used machine learning image classification based techniques to classify these images of malware files into their respective families. Moreover, we've actually used genetic algorithm built on the backbone of CNN, convolutional neural networks, to classify these new malware files into their respective families on its own. That's what our model does over here. And with the help of the adaptive nature of genetic programming, we actually resolved several drawbacks of traditional classification techniques and built a quite functional relationship between data and its categories. As part of our research, we actually achieved 98.11% classification accuracy on the mal-image dataset that we've used. So as part of the literature review and the research that we did, there was a bit of work that was done out there in terms of malware family categorization. And actually the malware families tend to share similar patterns when it comes to how they interact and behave. And hence machine learning techniques become an insightful alternative to malware classification. Some techniques use a neural network, some techniques use graph-based approaches built upon clustering techniques, and some even use metadata to analyze and import and export tables to assist in this problem statement. And that's what we found as part of our literature review. Moving on, this is the data set that we used. It's called the mal-image data set, which was introduced back in 2011 by Natarajan et al. And it contains of 9,339 malware samples belonging to 25 different malware families. As you can see over here, these are these are few of the families that are part of this data set. And so what happened is that the 8-bit, bit files of the malware were actually converted to images by using a vector of 8-bit unsigned integers. And this was converted to a decimal value, which was correspondingly converted to a grayscale image. And that's how a malware was represented as an image. And so we finally got this image data set as part of the training and testing. And we used a 70 to 30 split ratio, which was best according to the industry standards and our research. Sorry, just 1 second. My screen share stopped. Sorry, 1 second.
You've stopped your screen share.
Yes, just give me 1 second. I hope it's visible again.
Yeah, it's visible now. Please go.
Perfect. Okay. Yes. Sorry about that. And so as part of our research, we have actually used genetic algorithm over here. You could see on the right-hand side of the screen a few of the specifications of our genetic algorithm. And so I'll just explain briefly the overview of the algorithm that we've used. We use the dataset of malware files represented as image. And we randomly generate the initial population with the help of the number of generations and the size of the population. And giving this as an input to our algorithm, we finally get the output, which is the best fit architecture of CNN, including the selected hyperparameters. So our genetic algorithm essentially generates the best possible hyperparameters, with the help of which our CNN would actually fetch the best accuracy scores. So that is exactly what we're doing. First, we generate the hyperparameters randomly for the very initial population. And then for every population, we iterate over every population. We do the following method. Firstly, we calculate the fitness score for each individual in our population. Let's call it PI. From the current population, we actually generate the parent population AI. The top individuals of the current population having the highest fitness values are selected as part of the next population. These are the parent population. And then using mutation and crossover operators on the parent population, we generate their offspring to select the entire pool, which would be created in the next population. And then PI+1 becomes a union of these parent and child populations. And that's how we get the new population. And we iterate over this for all of our generations. Let's say we used 10 generations over here. So that's how we optimize our hyperparameter set step by step. So in the first step, we do population initialization. We randomly generate values for the number of filters and the size of kernels. Then we actually do fitness evaluation. For the purpose of fitness evaluation, the parameters like the number of filters, the size of each filters are extracted to generate the CNN model, and the fitness evaluation is done using the percentage accuracy that we find. And this actually helps reduce the instability induced by the randomness in our algorithm. And then we do the selection using the current population. We sort the individuals on the basis of their fitness scores that are calculated. And then we choose the top T% individuals from our population. And these selected elite individuals contribute directly to the further generations because they have the best fitness scores. After that, we do the crossover operation where we actually select randomly 2 individuals from our parent population and we cross them over to create offsprings which are added next into our child population BI. And then in order to just to make sure that our model doesn't overfit and there's actually some sort of randomness so that diversity is induced in our algorithm, we actually do mutation as well, where in few of the offsprings in our generation, we actually randomly change a hyperparameter and we make sure that some sort of randomness is there so that better results could be found in the future generations. And after that, we generate the population by actually combining the AI and BI vectors. And then this process is repeated again and again across all of the generations, and we find the best fit CNN algorithms hyperparameter. So as part of the results of our research, the success of our implementation of genetic algorithm CNN on the dataset was evaluated by plotting a confusion matrix for the 25 malware families in the malimage dataset. The model that we used was finally able to gain an accuracy of 98.11%, and more than two-thirds of the malware families actually returned perfect F1 scores, precision, and recall values. And you can see the confusion matrix over here. So in terms of the comparison with past researches, the accuracy obtained by the model that we used is higher than majority of other approaches because of the constraints and limitations of traditional CNN architectures. The generation flow of genetic algorithm actually fetched us more optimal solutions because it kept on evolving over generations. And furthermore, the ability of genetic algorithm to select the best feature subset from the original feature subset allowed for improved training and a much higher accuracy in our classification, as you can see towards the right-hand side in comparison to the other results. So yeah, this is a comparison of few of the other papers that we found that had done work on our area. And yeah, so concluding our work, our research involved using GSCNN and automating the optimization of CNN architecture. So in traditional CNN, they actually require a lot of manual tuning and a lot of domain knowledge. And that's when people can actually gather ideal results with the help of normal CNN methods. But in order to obtain the most optimal architecture, what we did was we actually automated the process. And due to this automated process, we removed the hindrance of lack of domain knowledge, and we did not require a lot of manual tuning in our case, and we actually fetched the best results possible. Our model shows higher accuracy, precision, and recall scores than several other models applied on our dataset. And as part of the future work of our research, we actually figured that there are other evolutionary algorithms as well, which could provide promising results. Moreover, we could actually, over here, we use genetic algorithm along with CNN. Maybe we could actually use genetic algorithm along with other machine learning concepts which are modern and which are inspired by the biological evolution of genetic programming. And we could actually build upon the other conventional techniques, and they could actually get us promising results in the future. So that's all as part of our research. And I would like to conclude. Here are a few of the references that we did as part of our research. So a huge thank you to these references. And yeah, any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Prabhsimar, for your wonderful presentation. So could you please elaborate which CNN model have you used in your research?
So ma'am, as part of our CNN, we actually did our research and we found out like as part of this problem statement of image classification, we actually found an architecture which was the best fit. We actually did our research firstly just by manual tuning of CNN, and so essentially we used 2 convolutional layers.
My clear question is which CNN architecture? How many convolution layers? How many
two
pooling? What is the
convolutional layers.
dropout level that you have? Sorry?
We actually used 2 convolutional layers as part of our CNN architecture.
Okay, what kind of pooling have you used in your architecture?
Max pooling.
And what is the rate of dropout?
Drop-off rate, I would have to recheck. We included this as part of our research, and I will have to recheck on that. I can actually check my research paper if you'd like.
No, can you just tell me? You mentioned that you have converted your attached into images that somehow didn't make any, like it didn't gel with me. Could you explain what did you mean by that? Because I don't understand a textual data, which is just you. What's the size of your
Okay.
data set?
So ma'am, our data set was actually malware byte files. They were code
10,000
files.
10,000 samples, right? So
Yes, ma'am.
10,000 samples, why would you use a deep neural network, or even the network which you are talking with, which has 2 convolution layers, doesn't actually classify as a, as a deep learning model also. It is just a normal CNN with 2 layers. So I am unable to understand why would somebody on a textual data use a CNN. I didn't understand.
Sorry, your
that.
voice
Could
is
you
big.
please elaborate on that?
So ma'am, essentially our data is malware images. The malware images as part of our data set that we actually got.
I didn't get it. How does malware have images as an identity?
Yes, ma'am. I'll explain that to you. So what we essentially do is, let's say we have our code files. Our code files are in absolute binaries, zeros and ones. What we actually do as part of our conversion of malware binaries to images, what we do is we take 8 bits at a time. We have a vector of 8 bits that is converted to a number. Let's say it is converted to an integer from less than 255. That integer value of 8 bits is used, and that is actually, let's say now we're creating a grayscale image or an RGB image, so that 8-bit vector combined together is converted to an integer, and that becomes the value of a pixel of our grayscale image. And then,
but why would you do that? I don't understand the logic of.
Ma'am, this was the existing data set that we got. The malimage data set itself converts the binaries into images, and it was actually shown as part of the literature review that we did that it actually fetched quite promising results. Like there is already a lot of work that has been done.
When you say that you have a data set of 10,000 images, that's
Right.
not sufficient enough for any machine learning algorithm. You know, we say that machine learning is popular today because of the availability of data and computing power. So
Yes,
a data set of 10,000 images is not sufficient enough for a machine learning algorithm to give so what is your training accuracy and what is your validation accuracy? Does your model overfit? Have you checked for overfitting of the model? And also, how do you decide on what all hyperparameters have you gotten after applying your genetic algorithms? Can you name 3 hyperparameters where you got the values?
Yes, ma'am. So the hyperparameters that we actually use as part of our genetic algorithm was the size of the filters, the number of the filters, and the kernel size. These were the 3 hyperparameters of our CNN that we used, and these were actually automatically generated as part of our genetic algorithm. The genetic algorithm went over generations, and it fetched these 3 hyperparameters, and then we actually ran a CNN model again and again to see what is the best possible accuracy we get, and then our genetic algorithm went
you have
across.
To run the model again and again, means you are tuning hyperparameters only. So when you train a model multiple number of times, you are actually tuning the hyperparameters. So I could not understand how many epochs have you run your CNN for?
Ma'am, 15 epochs.
So if you are running it for 15 epochs,
15 to 20.
Why do you run it for multiple epochs? The main aim of an epoch is to tune the hyperparameters. So probably you can look at your problem definition more closely and see how you can actually integrate it. As of now, to me, it appeared a bit superficial of what you spoke about and how you've implemented. So when we talk about CNNs, essentially they are used when your data is image. But here I don't understand the logic of, you know, converting a binary file into an image and then applying CNN on it, and then, you know, and that too not, you have compared it with ResNet. Do you know the architecture of ResNet? It's around 100 layers. So I still don't, you know, I don't know, your results somehow don't appear to be justifiable to me, where you are saying that compared to ResNet, your algorithm is working better.
Ma'am, so we did our research, and ma'am, the reason that our algorithm
look at, you has the paper worked on the same, sorry, the
yes,
ResNet
ma'am.
architecture.
Ma'am, I can recheck on that once, and
yes. No, also you may need to recheck whether they've used the same data set, because if the data set is different, then there is no point of
that is something we verified, ma'am. Yes, the data sets that we use as part of our research were on the same data set for sure.
Okay, so I have my you know, doubts over here when you say that ResNet 18 has got the next slide.
Ma'am, so the genetic algorithm actually, what it does is it evolutes over a lot of generations. The CNN model is run again and again for the set of hyperparameters.
No,
even
that
though
I
the number of
understand, but
layers is
you
less.
are saying that the genetic algorithms has been used for tuning the hyperparameters. Then you
Yes,
should not be running multiple epochs. You should be training your model on one epoch, because number of epochs means that you are tuning the hyperparameters. So there is a
Right, ma'am.
contradiction in
But
what you're talking
there
about.
would be a limitation to what range and what variety the epochs would actually tune the hyperparameters to, right? And that is why a genetic algorithm would bring about more variety and would evolve over time. Because if we actually ran our algorithm just once with the, let's say, 15 to 20 epochs, it would have fetched us, we actually tried, it fetched us somewhere around, let's say, 90% accuracy. But since we ran a genetic algorithm,
I don't agree with you. You probably need to look at the algorithm again, right? That's my, whatever little I know about deep learning. So you can
right.
probably look at this again. Good work, but probably you can, look at it, refining it more and understanding what's going on when you are applying genetic algorithms more. Thank you so
Sure,
much
ma'am.
for your presentation.
Thank you
Thanks.
so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Now I would like to invite Yu Liu for presenting research on the college English blended teaching model design and implementation based on the internet plus education.
Thank you. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon. So I'm Yu Liu from Shanghai International Studies University, and my topic is research on the college English blended teaching model design and implementation based on the internet plus education. So this is my contents, abstract introduction, literature review, blended model design and implementation. Last one is conclusion. So for the abstract, the internet has created unprecedented opportunities for the development of education. The new generation of information technologies such as artificial intelligence and big data plays an important role in optimizing learning methods, improving teaching efficiency, and helping educational equity. This study attempts to design and implement a school-based blended teaching model based on 4 intelligent platforms. The overall design and specific implementation framework include a needs analysis, hierarchical teaching objectives, diversified learning resources, and a systematic learning process. This teaching model has been implemented in a college in China, has achieved satisfactory results. And next, for introduction, the blended teaching is a new teaching model based on e-learning, which means to achieve an integrated and unified teaching model in supervised physical places with one online teaching where students independently control the learning process. The Internet plus Education Intelligence System provides sufficient network learning space for foreign language education teaching. However, the reformation of university teaching has always faced many problems in China's college, such as reducing English class hour credits and unsatisfactory learning effects and improvement of meeting students' personalized needs. This study designs and implements the blended teaching model in an undergraduate college to solve these problems. For literature review, first one, the Internet plus education. International and domestic scholars discuss the relationship between the Internet and education. For example, Sharma in 2003 proposed that the emergence of the Internet as a potent medium for commerce and communication will be reflected in the content and the delivery model of management education. And in 2006, a China scholar defined the Internet plus education as a new form of education, reflecting the essence of Internet plus education. And the next is for blended teaching. Studies on the blended teaching model can be traced from the literature of international and domestic scholars. Chinese scholars have also explored the connotation and extension of blended teaching. Moreover, Chinese scholars have also explored the construction and implementation of hybrid teaching model in the Chinese education environment. For English teaching in Chinese universities, exploration based on the hybrid teaching model is deepening, but many key problems must still be solved. For example, how do we design the hybrid teaching model? What teaching strategies are suitable for mixed teaching models? How effective is the hybrid teaching model? This research aims to solve these problems. So this paper designed a framework for blended teaching model design and implementation. And so first is needs analysis. For the methodologies, we conduct the first student survey of the 2021 non-English major undergraduates in a mixed teaching model. Experimental class include 8 classes, 33 majors, and 737 students. The questionnaire includes students' learning needs and expectations of the blended teaching model. It covers language skills, learning motivation, learning focus, and learning resources. So from the results and discussion, we can say the students have a high demand for listening and speaking skills and low translation and writing needs, and they pay most attention to short-term development goals with lifelong language ability development ranking last. And they have a high demand for language output and input abilities and low training demand for skills. And they are more interested in original English films and have less stereotypical practice. For learning objectives, we have 3 parts. The first one is the primary order goal. It meets one's needs for information communication in daily life, study, and future work. And the mid order goal, it communicates independently with English or familiar topics in daily life, study, and future work. And for higher order goal, it communicates effectively in many fields such as daily life, study, and future work. And for the online resources, we have 4 education platforms. The first one is Unipass online learning platforms. It integrates learning, practice, testing, evaluation, and research under the Foreign Research Institute. And the Ring Classroom, an online interactive platform organized and developed by the Online Education Office of Tsinghua University, is predominantly used in the classroom teaching process. And the ICTIS Intelligent Evaluation Cloud platform is used for the pre-test and the post-test of students participating in the teaching model practice and plays a role in promoting teaching through testing. And the 4 Idea Future FRF Intelligence Platform, it is from the Beijing IFLAC Education Technology Corporation, involves online courses and oral training system and course evaluation. So for the learning guide, we have 3 parts. For the primary, middle, and high order teaching objectives, teachers systematically improve the learning guide according to the guidelines for college English teaching. And the pre, during, after class learning task, here are 3 parts. Step 1 is the pre-class online learning. Students should conduct collaborative online learning before class and complete the online learning tasks scheduled in each study guide chapter. Step 2, the during class teaching and learning. The teacher and students solve difficult problems, and so on. Step 3 is after class learning and evaluation. After class, students complete the language practice projects in the form of group cooperation to conduct the comprehensive practice training of the language and improve the students' comprehensive language application ability. And for evaluation and reflection on teaching and learning, pre and after class online learning includes autonomous and group study scoring, learning time and self-reflection. Learning reflection in the class include learning gains and unsolved questions. So next, for an example about implementation in a unit. For example, each unit is divided into two parts, part A and B. The primary goal is to complete the cultural leading activities, and part A words, text translation, paragraph writing. The middle order goal is to complete part B words and text content. The higher order goal is complete the future expanding knowledge learning, and each unit have 4 classes. And for pre, during, after class learning task, before the first time of class, pre-class learning task have 3 steps: unit subjects and cultural leading learning, part A, vocabulary preview, and grammar knowledge supplementary learning. In-class answer and extension units, import learning content, share and supplement part A, vocabulary knowledge, elaborate and grammar knowledge, and engage in questions and answers. After class grammar knowledge consolidation practice is completed. And for the evaluation and reflection on teaching learning, students complete the language practice projects in form of group cooperation to conduct comprehensive practice training in the language and improve their comprehensive language and application ability. So for the conclusion, this study attempts to design and implement a school-based learning model based on an intelligent system. This teaching model has been implemented in a college and has achieved satisfactory results. And some deficiencies exist in this study, which will continue to be improved in the future studies. For example, the evaluation of this teaching model should combine qualitatively and quantitative methods to provide scientific feedback on teaching model. We could expand the online teaching resources such as the online live broadcast platform, and the quality of the analysis of teacher interviews must also increase the teaching evaluations to form a multi-dimensional interactive evaluation model between teachers and students for the online and offline classrooms and teaching environment and the policies. Okay, this is my references. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Yeah, so you can you elaborate on whether you have a software developed for the same, or it is a classroom model that you have implemented?
Yes.
So I just wanted to know.
Oh, yes.
Whether there is a software that you have developed or it is just an in-class experiment that you have done.
Yes, we solved some problems about the language skills, learning motivation, learning focus, and learning resources.
Okay. Thank you so very much. Lovely presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I would now like to invite Dr. Sujay Kalkala to present his paper on a rule-based sentiment analysis on WhatsApp reviews in Telugu language.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
I guess I will need the access for sharing the screen. Just a moment. Hope everyone is able to see my screen.
Yeah, it's visible.
So today's presentation is about a rule-based approach for sentiment analysis of WhatsApp reviews in Telugu language. I know it's particularly with Telugu language, and my thesis was supervised by Dr. Kabram Pasi. So firstly, I would like to give an overview of the content for today, not taking much time. So what's the main objective of the research? Then what is sentiment analysis? And I would like to give example how it's different in English and Telugu that it converts. And next is the data and methodology that I have followed up for my research, and the machine learning algorithms that I have taken up and the results that they come up with, and the conclusion that what came up the best among the all, and what are the future works that are left still to do. So the main aim of the research was to carry out the sentiment analysis in 2 stages. And the first one was to establish some linguistic rules, because Telugu is a ancient language that has different terms. So we wanted to set up some linguistic rules and measure the sentiment of a sentence in Telugu language by not doing any translation. So these rules used dictionary of words and verbs in order to assign the polarity for each sentence. And the second objective was to create labeled and structured data through which the processing of text and the respective polarities. This was very much needed because the model can be trained and evaluated later. What is sentiment analysis? As we all know, sentiment analysis is the examination or assessment of a feelings that a text would come up with. And especially if we see here with three emojis out here, the first one is completely red and which is very much angry, where a customer is really dissatisfied with the customer service. If you see with the emoji in the middle, it's neutral. He says, though it's a good job, but still he expects a lot from the customer service in future. But if you see on the emoji on the right, he's not expecting anything later on, but he's happy with the service. If it's the same in the Telugu, if we write any sentences, there are some verbs and auxiliary verbs which I would be discussing going forward in the presentation. Thirdly, data and methodology. Here for the data extraction purpose, we have used API, and as we cannot take each review manually, so we use some parameters for in Python, and we pulled up the reviews from Google Play Store for WhatsApp, and total of 5,000 reviews were collected for Telugu, and these were used for developing the rule-based model, and then as well as for training and testing the model. So here is the methodology overview. As we see on the right, that the knowledge base, which contains the negative auxiliary verbs, positive auxiliary verbs, negative words, and positive words, as we get the text reviews, based on the rule-based algorithm, we assign the polarity and after the pre-processing step, and we store the results. And after we get the results, these are being utilized by the machine learning model to train on the target and the data so that the reviews can be classified by the model. And based on that, if we get the results satisfactory, we would save the results. If not, we would change the ratio of the training and testing set. So how does our rule-based algorithm work here? So when we get a textual review, each review would have either positive words or negative words, or positive words with auxiliary or based on the scenario. Based on that conditions, the polarity would be assigned. So I would like to give some examples how these rules will work. I have used 5 rules based on my reviews that I had in the WhatsApp. So for that, I would like to give an example here. So if you see with the rule 1, when a positive instance or a positive word in a sentence and has a positive auxiliary verb next to it, so it returns a positive overall polarity. So if you see the weather is good, as in English we can understand, but if you see in Telugu for our understanding, I have written in transliterated form. Vatavaranam is weather, Chala Bagundi is something, Chala Baga is nice in Telugu, and Undi is positive auxiliary verb, which gives a positive statement. In the similar way, I have got with positive word going with a negative auxiliary verb next to in a sentence. How does it become a negative word? So based on these, I have got the 5 rules for my different cases that I came up. And if we go for a more lengthier sentences, the rules might increase based on the conditions. So after getting this, we have used 2 vectorization techniques in our research. The textual data also needs to be transformed into numeric form. As we all know that machine-based algorithm cannot read text. It needs numbers and vectors as input. So here we wanted to test count vector and TF-IDF with our model so that which would be the best for our results. So next, here after the rule-based algorithm was used to create the label and the target for the unlabeled textual data, after the polarities were occurred, it was treated as a target variables to predict several machine learning models were trained. Out of which the best we came to use were KNN, SVM, and XGBoost, and each model was treated with count vector and TF-IDF instances. So here, one more thing I would like to mention that we also tried different algorithms like random forest, but still wanted to use these as these were performing better with the data that I had. And apart from this, we also, just a moment, also we applied k-fold cross validation in this research, and we used a 5-fold validation so that just to verify that the data is not overfitting the model or underfitting, so that we can have an understanding what research would we are coming up to. So here, if you can see, we have two instances of each classifier and the results for each fold. And after getting that, we have applied precision F1 and recall scores for each classifier again to make sure that we get a proper scale of results. But we still had one more doubt about our work, whether how about the error rate. So in this following, we have even applied the MSC, that's the mean square error, to find out which method would be the best. And by performing this error function, we came to a conclusion by seeing, if you can see on the top of the count vector, SVM with the least MSC among all the classifiers is the best result that we came up to, though we had precision recall values all in a similar range. Conclusion and future work. Count vector provided the algorithm with simple yet efficient corpus, gave the gave the size of the data, hence it affected the scores. And mean squared error for SVM with 0.23 is performing better among all the classifiers, as we saw earlier. And what can be the future work with this? Because there is a lot of experiment that we can do with this, because it was only 5,000 reviews. We could increase the length of the sentences, and then we can increase the number of reviews. And even for the similar kind of rules, we can even check how it actually works for a larger sentence would be the more one. And then here XGBoost and SVM were pretty much close with the error count that we tried out, like how well they both can do. And substantially, someone can even do some new classifiers which weren't performing well with this, like the binary classifiers. And these are the references that I have majorly used up for my research. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sujay, for the wonderful presentation. So I just had a few doubts. First, why have you used the most traditional ML model for language processing, whereas there are models like LSTM, RNNs, and now even models like BERT available? So why have you gone into very traditional ML-based models and not tried something which is current?
Okay. Firstly, ma'am, our reviews were like 5,000 reviews. Not a big reviews that, and it were not a lengthier reviews that I want to tell you guys again that the reviews were just like 5-6 words that I could get in Telugu. But for using those big models and efficient models, as you say, they need huge amount of data. That's when we will get to know the better performance of that model. Even I tried those models even on this data, but I'm not, that's what I'm telling here. Like I didn't mention it here, but I have tried out that one, but it requires a huge amount of data, because for the epochs, even if I run with 5,000, how much would I divide into testing and training, so that it would be efficient for the purpose of the research?
No, that doesn't answer my question. My point is that if there are superior algorithms existing, it doesn't matter. A data set of 5,000, I don't know whether you have heard Andrew Ng's new thing where he says, you don't need big data to train big models now. That's another connotation which is coming nowadays. So it's the quality of data that you have. 5,000 sufficient enough for an NLP corpus. If we consider image data, probably 5,000 is not essential. But here what essentially will matter is what is the vocabulary size. So a vocabulary size of 3,000, 4,000 is sufficient.
So here, ma'am,
can you just go to the slide where you're doing the comparison? Can you just go to the slide where you're showing the comparison of base models?
This one?
No, the next one, the one which was in yellow, and where you have the various algorithms and a comparison. Yeah, this is the one. Yes. So when you say KN and TF-IDF, term frequency, inverse
Term
frequency,
frequency,
or
the inverse document
these
frequency.
are very old methods which were used around.
Yeah.
So I wrote a paper around 6-7 years back where I used glove and I used word to vec for word embeddings. So these were the models which were used in very primitive settings earlier. Today you have models like let's say if you don't want to go to BERT and all, if you don't want to use transfer learning, but there are models like basic models like LSTM or RNN which you can use. So my just one suggestion would be if you could try those models also, because a precision call of 84, 81 in today's world when we are talking about more than 80 to 90% accuracy might not suffice. So you can just try out those models as well.
Yeah, so I got your point, but majorly my concept was at that time was performing these operations because I never had, as we have CentiWordNet for English or Hindi, similar kind of run, which is under construction for Telugu still. So I wanted to use the rules majorly rather than the models. So these were the ones which were
but
useful for me at that time.
these algorithms are not rule-based algorithms. KNN is not a rule-based algorithm. So
What about the algorithms, ma'am? Like I had a vision for me to perform these ones, and my professor was okay because this was something that I was taking up with Telugu as first instance. Majorly, I thought these were the comfortable one that I could take up with count vector and TF-IDF morely because I have seen others taking something else with the Telugu, but that were some transliterated forms and some were different, but I thought these was the comfortable one for me to choose, particularly to work on with Telugu.
Right. Thank you so much, Sujay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now I would like to invite Manasa Sanjeev for presenting research on intelligent proctoring system.
Yeah, hi. 1 second, I'll just share my screen. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, it's visible. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so good evening to one and all present here. I'm Manasa Sanjeev, and I'll be presenting the research on the intelligent proctoring system on behalf of my team from Ahmedabad School of Engineering, Bangalore. Coming to the how the research was started was basically due to the COVID pandemic situation, the entire education system transitioned to an online system, making most of the exams online, and the malpractices had increased. So to counter the malpractices and maintain the academic integrity of the exams, we decided to come up with the intelligent proctoring system, which uses AI and ML algorithms to detect various of the malpractices of the test takers. Coming to the literature survey, these are only the few, I could list only few of the papers here, but we've referred to a lot more papers. So what we found is that previously most of the proctoring systems of the AI models were run on recorded footage of an examiner trying to take an exam, or it covered only few aspects of malpractices, either only object detection or only eye gaze monitoring, or only face detection and face recognition. What we tried to achieve here was to come up with an automated system with least physical intervention or human intervention, to give a real-time proctoring system, to make a real-time proctoring system, which also tries to detect as many malpractices as one can, so that it becomes harder for the test taker to fool. So the problem statement here is basically that most of the commercial proctoring systems available in today's market are mostly on the single camera of the web, on the PC or laptop or a webcam. So the range is very restricted, as it can only see your face and movements, but cannot see the surroundings of the system. And to do so, many of times there is a all-round 360-degree check or a live proctor sitting there. but no foolproof automated system. So hence we came up with the idea of a low-cost dual camera proctoring system. So here we use two cameras. One is of the laptop and the other of is a smartphone, the front-facing camera of a smartphone, to increase the range of the exam exam environment. So one more thing I would like to point out here was there was another study where they used the dual proctoring system, but then they used high equipment glasses where the camera was attached to the glasses so it can see wherever the test taker is looking. So we found that to be very unaffordable by majority of the students and universities in this setting, especially during the COVID pandemic. So coming to the software and hardware requirements, so the technology stack we've used is predominantly JavaScript and HTML, CSS, and React for the front end. And for the back end, it's TensorFlow JS and Node.js. Database and storage, we've used the Firebase system. And for the hardware requirements, we need a smartphone with a front camera and a PC laptop with a webcam and a working microphone with strong internet connectivity and an updated web browser. So the system design, first I'll be going to the flowchart on the left-hand side. So it's divided into two parts, our system. One is the teacher and the other is the student dashboard. And both of them are a progressive web application. So the teacher dashboard, a teacher can log in and create an exam. And finally, view the cheat score results of the number of malpractices the students taking this particular exam have done. So coming to the student dashboard, the student has to simultaneously log in both on the PC where he takes the exam and the mobile phone, and place the mobile phone in such a way that the keyboard of the laptop or the monitor is seen, so that there is no other thing like a book or a phone which is helping the student take the exam. At the same time, we check whether both systems are compatible and collect the biometrics. Here we're clicking photos and checking if there is any detection happening. And the proctoring in the exam begins. If there is a malpractice detected, a warning activity is recorded and the same warning activity will be shown on the teacher's dashboard. If there is no malpractice, the exam will be continued. So coming to the use case diagram on the right-hand side, we can see that for the login, we're using the Firebase authentication system for each student. And the biometric is done by face recognition, where we can, so that there's no impersonation taking place for a particular exam. And for the malpractices, we're focusing on objects like book, phone, paper, laptop, etc. And face detection part, we're focusing on whether there is no face or there are multiple faces seen, whether some people are trying to help the test taker. And then there is head pose detection, whether he's turning too much to the right or the left to take help from other people or looking into some kind of material, or as well as like key press so that the person does not exit full screen or change the tab. And then the audio recording part. So coming to the implementation, I've already mentioned most of the features in the previous slide. So here what I would like to focus on is the user-friendly interface that we have. So it is easy for the test taker to focus on the exam while the proctoring happens side by side and a warning is generated every time. So the implementation part, we've used TensorFlow.js. So it is a JavaScript library for the machine learning models. And for the object detection, we've used the single shot detector model. And this was working fine for us because it gives a fast detection of the object as well as it's very accurate. And coming to the face recognition, we've used the face API library of NPM. So it uses initially each student who are on our system, they have to submit a couple of pictures and then the algorithm learns the pictures and labels it using the facial descriptors. And the same is used to recognize the person when he's logged in the biometric stage. So, and we're using PoseNet for head pose detection. Basically here it tries to understand based on the human face structure, if suppose the right ear is seen by the camera, that means the person has turned totally on the left side. And if the left ear, if only the left ear is seen, then the person is totally turned on the right side. So this is a lightweight CNN model. Coming to the results, so we can see on the right hand side the Kazima, who is my team member. You can see her in a slightly smaller thing. On the left hand side, we can see that the model is correctly recognizing that the picture shown is not Kazima. Same way, we have actions recorded for tab changing, and if there is any control keys pressed for like copy paste or for changing tabs. And books are detected. If you can see clearly, there's a book that she is holding. And if there is no face visible, or if the head pose is like the too much of turn in the head movement. So finally, in the results dashboard, we can see that the cheat score is logged both separately for the mobile and the laptop records. So here I would like to zoom in a little bit. So the exit full screen and the alt and control columns basically try to maintain the count of the number of times we have clicked on the keys or tried to do those actions. While for phone, book, laptop, or no face, if there is one of them is detected at least once, it becomes a true, else it's a false. The same algorithms run very successfully on the mobile version as well. So the conclusion here is that we built a dual camera proctoring system, and it has been all the features work well. They're integrated into the same progressive web application. And the future scope over here is that we have not worked much on the intelligent audio detection and analytics part. We have only given the option for the student to start and stop recording during the exam time, and it has to be gone through by a live proctor or there needs some human intervention to find out whether there is some malpractice happening, whether they're talking to someone and trying to get help. And at the same time, we have not gone for real-time face recognition. Suppose there is spoofing happening in the middle of the exam. So that's something we haven't worked on. And using a third camera, in this case, we've tried to cover as much range as we can using 2 cameras. But a third camera would be really helpful because there are scenarios when there are people and like material behind the laptop, which is not captured by the phone as well, which many students refer to fool the system. So this is something that work can be done in this area as well. I would like to thank ICTIS. These are a couple of references. We've used a lot more research papers and gone through a lot more features of the commercial products available in the market. I couldn't list all of them here. And coming to it is we're really grateful to the entire conference team for giving us the opportunity to present over here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Manasa. Very good presentation. So tell me, how is your product, barring that you are giving access to 2 cameras, how is it different from Code Tantra or other platforms which are available right now?
Right. So the most of the things what we have realized is that except for the audio analytics part, which we haven't worked on much, like we've focused on more of the computer vision and the image part. So otherwise, it's really similar. The main difference is the dual camera proctoring part, because usually all the commercial market systems have a live proctor, or they have a human intervention where there is an automated system, but again, the entire recording footage is gone through by a human proctor to reduce the errors in this. So this is a totally
that we
automated.
do, the human proctoring we do. Actually, those platforms are also capable of, doing proctoring online. It's just that as universities, we do depute faculty to proctor. But how would a proctor's requirement from your system be removed? As in, what specific feature does it have that you are saying that it would not require a human intervention to proctor?
Because of the accuracy. So we have tested it on multiple students in our class itself. So we have tried to, it has been pretty accurate as every movement is detected. So there is very less need of human intervention. So we can rely on it more.
So what specific computer vision algorithm have you used for doing face detection?
We've used the object detection, the COCO SST model.
Sorry?
We've used the COCO SSE object detection model, and for the face recognition, we've used the face API of NPM itself.
So you have basically used APIs, not design, not started an algorithm or designed an algorithm from scratch, right?
Right. We have not. We've mostly used pre-trained
No, that's
models.
perfectly fine. If APIs are available, why not use them? Thank you so much, Marissa. Well done.
Thank you.
I would like to now invite Mr. Harsh Modi for presenting his paper on decentralization of traditional systems using blockchain.
Yes, I don't have the permissions to share the screen.
Jay, can you please give the permission?
Yeah, got them. Thank you. Hello.
Yes, please start.
Yeah, thank you. So hello and good evening to one and all. We present to you our paper on decentralization of traditional systems using blockchain. Blockchains are collection of objects which are called as blocks. Blockchain can be visualized by thinking of them as traditional databases where people store large amounts of data. One key aspect in which blockchain differentiates itself from traditional databases is how the data is structured and stored. Each block in blockchain is designed specifically to hold a fixed set of information that consists of hash value of previous block, hash value of current block, timestamps of the block when the block was created, and other data about transaction and mining. These blocks are chained onto previously mined blocks, forming a chain of blocks called the blockchain. This is the basic blueprint of the blockchain, as I spoke earlier. We decided to survey blockchain systems due to the considerable attention they have received due to their unique peer-to-peer networking system architecture, which divides workload between peers on a decentralized network. Blockchain also provides better security features due to the decentralized nature itself. Blockchain also has been and is been applying in variety of applications. These are the few traditional consensus reaching mechanisms on blockchain. So proof of work involves nodes solving complicated asymmetrical mathematical puzzles to produce new blocks in the process known as mining. The diagram to the right shows the BTC mining hash rate owned by various countries. Proof of stake algorithm randomly selects validators for block creation based on the amount of token holders, the amount of tokens they have. Proof of elapsed time uses randomly generated elapsed time to decide mining rights and block winners on the blockchain. Blockchain security. The blockchain networks are either public or private in nature. Public blockchains maintain a public ledger of transactions and consensus is achieved via mining of the block. In private blockchain, the consensus is achieved only when the selected users verify the transaction, also known as selective endorsement. The security attacks which blockchain can suffer are Eclipse attack. In this attack, the attacker tries to create all malicious nodes such that the victim's nodes depend on the attacker's node for the distributed ledger. Sybil attack. An attacker can create many fake identities in the blockchain network. If they create a good number of malicious nodes, they may be able to vote out an honest node in the network. They can even refuse the reception of transmission of the node, thus effectively blocking other honest nodes from the network. Selfish mining. This happens when an attacker mines a block from the transaction pool but does not allow it to be broadcasted to other nodes. So it keeps on mining the block and prevents them from being broadcasted to peer nodes. 51% attack. It happens when a group of miners control more than 51% of the blockchain network. Once they get hold of more than 50% of the network, they can prevent the creation of blocks by preventing the confirmation of the transaction. They can even reverse the transactions which were already completed. The diagram to the left shows the mining pool percentage. And as we see, for Bitcoin, no miner has more than 51% control of the blockchain. This is done to ensure trust on the blockchain. Private key attack. In an asymmetric key cryptographic systems used by blockchain for encryption and decryption, every user has two keys, public and private key. If an attacker finds the vulnerability in the digital signature algorithm being used, he or she will be able to guess the private key of the user, and he can totally exploit the user's account and carry almost any number of transactions using the key. Such an attack is impossible to track. Liveliness attack. The first stage is the preparation stage, wherein the attacker tries to gain advantage of honest miners by selfish mining. The next stage is the denial phase, wherein the attacker prevents the block from getting added into the public chain by keeping it with him. The third and the last stage is the blockchain delay phase, wherein the attacker tries to reduce the growth of the blockchain. Double spending attack happens when the cryptocurrency is spent twice. This is not an issue with physical currencies as they are very hard to replicate and fake notes can be easily detected. Since cryptocurrency is just a digital file, there is no centralized authority to check duplication. They can be easily duplicated. The DAO attack. The DAO attack stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. The aim of such an organization is basically to create rules and decision-making tools which remove the need for controls and governance of the people by creating a structure for decentralized control. In this attack, DAO is subjected to an attack exploiting a combination of vulnerabilities in the code governing the DAO. Applications of blockchain. IoT, most IoT systems currently rely on centralized systems, which are usually connected to a single cloud server. Decentralization of IoT or blockchain IoT would increase the trust among the users of the technology, as there will be no single owner who owns any data. The problems that the implementation of blockchain in IoT field will solve are decentralization, anonymity, and it would increase security. This would also eliminate the need for centralized servers. Smart contracts. Smart contracts are simple programs or network protocols that are intended to run automatically over the network when conditions of a contract are fully satisfied. Traditional contracts are costly because they involve middlemen and they must be paid for their services. Compared to smart contract, where there are no intermediaries and the cost is just the underlying cost for maintaining the blockchain infrastructure. Voting systems. In a blockchain-based voting system, when someone votes at the polling stations or in the case of completely digital voting, the concerned authorities can easily ensure that the voter is not committing any fraud. After the vote is cast, it becomes part of the blockchain and it's permanently stored and maintained on the blockchain using secure encryption algorithms. Healthcare systems. As time goes by, medical records can grow larger and complex. Every hospital has a different way of storing the databases, and at times they are reluctant to share medical details of the patients with other hospitals. When using blockchain, a common ledger can act as a data bank for medical records. This will ensure that healthcare workers and researchers can obtain timely, accurate, and comprehensive information. Blockchain technology also improves the financial sector by optimizing the way business store, share, and transmit data more transparently and securely. If the powers of the blockchain technology are properly harnessed, then they revolutionize the financial sector. Identity management. Identity management has been one of the biggest concerns in the advent of internet, and being anonymous while surfing the web is of paramount importance. Blockchain provides such security and transparency. Self-sovereign identity is the concept most individuals or organizations can use to store their information and decide where and what part of their identities they want to share without relying on any central data bank which stores everything. Cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is a more secured and reliable way of using traditional forms of payments like cash and card. Cryptocurrencies has much cheaper processing fees without reliable transactions. With reliable transactions. This form of decentralization allows them to work outside the grasp of any authorities and make transactions without being traced. Supply chain management. Using blockchain in supply chain management will revolutionize this whole process. The time required in transit of final products from the manufacturers to the consumers can be reduced significantly. If there is some defect in manufacturing in a particular slot, the company can backtrack and figure out the reason behind the problem. Concluding our presentation, blockchain is like any new technology. It is a concept that first disrupts the traditional systems, but over time it has the ability to boost the growth of the networks that encompass both the old systems and new invention. We anticipate to see significant developments in blockchain technology in near future to increase performance and scalability, which is a distinct problem for blockchain and implementations in highly specific usage. With innovation in blockchain technology and its use cases now mainly being applied outside the financial sector too, we see a lot of potential in the technology. We'll be taking up a question. Thank you.
Thank you, Harsh, for the presentation. So this was basically a review of how blockchain can be used in various domains, right?
Yeah, it is a survey of the system. Yeah.
So have you, how do you intend taking your survey forward?
After this paper was written, actually before the survey, so we also built a cryptocurrency platform, but that's not something unique as such, because already cryptocurrency platforms etc have been built. So since then we are trying to work on consensus, finding new ways to build new consensus protocols, because that is a key problem in terms of energy crisis for, say, Bitcoin, etc. So that's the reason we are working on that.
Right. Have you also looked at implementation of smart contracts or how they can be used for provisioning the blockchain?
Yeah. So another project which we were working on is medicine and healthcare. So for that we are using smart contracts and Solidity to ensure that insurance sector, as that's mentioned in the applications, so they can help facilitate, because Germany and other such countries abroad already have this centralized bank of data for healthcare, but India sadly lacks that. So this will ensure better.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Now I would like to invite Shubham Khernar for presenting his paper on Annadata, an interactive and predictive web-based farmers portal. Shubham, you may please start your presentation.
Ma'am, I think Shubham is absent.
Yeah, he's not there. So we'll move on to the next presentation. Next, I would like to present M. Santosh Kumar to present his paper on a survey on fire detection based feature extraction using deep learning.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes, Santosh, please present.
I'm going to start our presentation on the topic a survey on fire detection based features extraction using deep learning. And my teammates are Josrini K and Deepak Kumar and Elilarsan and Surya S. Let's move on to the objectives of our project. The main motive behind this project is to detect and classify the fire pixels by image based features extraction.
Slideshow? Santosh, can you please do?
Yes, ma'am. How it's visible, ma'am?
Yeah, it's fine now.
In this study, we have used deep learning techniques with real-time alert system for better accuracy rate. Let's see about the introduction of our project. In nowadays, forest fires are real threats to human lives, environmental systems, and infrastructure. Many organizations have predicted that forest fires could destroy half of the world's forests by the year 2030. The satellite sensor is used to capture the forest fire image, but it has an increasing range of time resolution, and space of the forest area is large to cover. This is the proposed system architecture. In our proposed system, we will convert the videos to frames, and then we get the image as an input. And the next step is pre-processing step. In the pre-processing step, we will convert the original image into grayscale image. After converting the grayscale image, we will filter out the noises by using median filtering algorithm. Then we extract the features using active contour method. And we are extracting the features like color, shape, etc. Then we detect the fire-like pixels using deep learning algorithm and classify the fire surface and send the alert to the correspondings through the alert system or the SMS. These are the 4 modules in our project. The first module is pre-processing module. In the pre-processing module, we will convert the RGB image into grayscale image by its equivalent value. Then we implement median filtering algorithm to remove the unwanted pixels and unwanted noises in the images, like black and white noises and salt and pepper noises. In the second module is fire-like pixels detection. In this module, we will extract the features which is related to color, appearance, shape, or textures. Based on these features, we can extract the fire regions from images. Then the third module is fire ignition. In this module, we will classify the fire regions using convolutional neural network algorithm, and we also improve the accuracy in classification. Then the final module is alert system. In this module, once a fire is detected, we can able to send alert to the authority in terms of SMS at the time of fire detection. It can also be useful to provide early detection. I like to conclude that the flame image is employed for training and testing. Then the CNN model is introduced, and an adaptive cooling method combined with color features is proposed for the problem. The effects of learning rate, batch size, and other parameters on the performance of CNN are analyzed based on experiments, and the optimal parameters are determined. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Santosh. So I could just see that it's a literature survey paper. So have you,
Yeah, ma'am.
what all CNN models have you surveyed? I couldn't see that in the paper. What different models of convolutional neural networks have you surveyed? Am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah, so I just wanted to know what all convolutional neural network models have you surveyed? And what data set are you going to use for this? Which data set is available for fire images?
Ma'am, we are using surveillance image data sets, ma'am, for our input.
From where are you capturing those surveillance images? Is it forest fire that you are wanting to capture?
Yeah, ma'am. We are taking the images as a forest fire image.
Okay, so how are you going to capture the image? What is going to be the source of your data set?
Ma'am, by using the surveillance cameras, we can able to capture the forest fires, ma'am.
So is it going to be live video data that you'll be capturing and analyzing, or is it going to be image data?
Ma'am, we are capturing live stream, ma'am, and we will convert the live video into frames, and we will give the image as an input, ma'am.
Okay, so what models have you didn't answer my first question. What models have you evaluated, or what models have you studied about?
Ma'am, we are using deep convolutional neural network model, ma'am.
Any specific convolutional neural network that you have homed down on? There are multiple kinds of convolutional neural networks. Any specific that you will be using?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Santosh. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Now I would like to invite Guru Buleni S to present his paper on a survey of privacy preserving voting scheme based on blockchain technology. Guru Buleni, can you please start your presentation?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Is my screen visible?
Yeah, it's visible. Please go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. So good evening all. I'm here to present our paper on the topic of privacy preserving voting scheme based on blockchain technology. So I'm the presenter. I'm S. Kirbani, and my co-authors are Lakshmi Prabha, Pranita, Srigatri, and Priya. So on behalf of them, I'm presenting our project. So first is about our objective of the project is to create a secure voting system using a face biometric operation for providing security and maintaining the oaths by use of blockchain technology. So as we all know, blockchain technology is used to store information in form of blocks. It is same as the databases, traditional databases, but it stores the data in form of blocks. So next is about the introduction of our project is in olden days they used a paper based voting system in which we have more redundancies and inefficiencies, and there are possibilities of more fraudulent activities. After they have developed an electronic voting system, that is what now voting process is going on. So our main aim is to create an online voting system which is useful for everybody. Any person can vote from the places where are they. So so our main aim is to create an online voting system by using blockchain technology, which is used to provide more security than the other online voting systems that have been prevailing. So next is about our proposed system architecture. Is analyzed through their phase to enter into the system for voting. So after that, the candidate information is viewed by the voter. So next is about vote for candidate. So inside that, how the blocks will be created is that in that through the blockchain technology, we are creating each block for every vote. So in each block, 2 hashes will be generated. First hash value and previous hash value. In previous hash value, the first for the first voter, the previous hash value will be 0 as default. So after the voting process completed for the first voter, the hash value will be generated as some hash value will be generated. It is an 18-bit hash value. So after that, if another voter comes for voting, the hash value of previous using technology. So after counting all voters' information, by counting the results, we predict the results of the voting and electoral. It is done by the administrator. So next is about the modules in our project. We have created 6 modules. So first is about our module 1. So our module 1 is about creating and voting interface creation. So our main aim is to create an voting system which is more secure and reliable. So it is done based on blockchain technology. For securing our vote, we are creating a voting interface creation. So only we have admins to store and evaluate the votes. Admin can have only unique username and password to enter into the system. He is responsible for maintaining all the informations of the voters that are recorded in the database. So next is about adding candidate details. So after the admin enters into the voting scheme, so the main responsibility of the admin is to add the candidate details who are been standing for the elections, etc. So for that, we are adding the candidate names and their symbols and their party name for if it is easy for the voters to identify the candidates and their symbols for voting. So next is about creating user credentials. So for user credentials, we are creating their name, mobile number, age, gender, address, Aadhaar card number, voter ID, etc. So for creating a convenience and a reliable system, because considering the age will be useful because above 18 only we can vote for the electoral process. So it is used to system for to user credentials. The admins are responsible for maintaining these systems, so they will handle the systems. Even though if any fraudulent activities are happened, he can change and modify that. So next is about user verification. As I already said, we have using face biometric system. So first, before the login, the user will be given a specific username and password for him, is assigned for him. So after that, after the login process, user face is recognized by using face biometric system. After that, he will able to see the candidate informations for voting. So after that, he can select the candidates for whom he is willing to vote. So this blockchain is the back process. So after voting, the blocks are we are using blockchain. Each blocks for each voter, each block will be created. As said previously, a hash value will be generated for each vote, and we are using secure hash algorithm 256 to maintain the vote applications. So next is model 6 is about a result announcement. So after getting all the votes polled, the result announcement will be based on the pie chart. We created a pie chart to display the results. So admin can view the results and he can declare the results after the polling process is completed. So next is about conclusion of our project is that is our main aim is to create an secure and reliable OT system than the previous prevailing voting systems. So that's why we have created and we have used blockchain technology and SHA algorithm for creating it, and it is also easy to bug errors and make avoid of fraudulent activities. And these are the references that we have referred for taking our project. And thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Girupulani. So I just had a few questions. What specific platform have you used for implementing your blockchain?
We have used .NET and Python, ma'am.
For implementing your blockchain?
Yes, ma'am.
What hashing algorithm have you used?
We have used secure hashing algorithm 256, ma'am.
Okay. And how are you generating your keys?
Ma'am, it is
Where is the
generated
block getting
automatically.
stored? Where is the block getting stored once you are?
It is getting yes, ma'am, it is getting stored in the database. As the admin can only view it. So after the blocks are created and stored in the database, which can be viewed only by the admins.
So how are you giving access to the, let's say I want to go and vote. How are you giving me access to a specific block?
Ma'am, you can't access the specific block, only admin can access. It is a process using the blockchain technology. For every vote, a block will be created at the back process. You can't see that block creation.
So even let's say I have voted for somebody and I want to change it now, I can't do that?
No, I can't do that. So yes, you can do that. That's what I'm saying. It is a secure. If you voted once, you can't change or modify it.
Okay. Thank you so very much. Thanks for the wonderful presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Next, I would like to invite Mr. Pavan Kumar to present his research on ease of doing business, approaching the context. Mr. Pavan, can you please start your presentation? Mr. Pavan, are you there?
Namaste, madam, but I am not able to share the screen.
Yeah, just a second, you'll be given the access.
Is it visible, ma'am?
Yeah, it's visible. Please start your presentation.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I am Pavan Kumar, research scholar from ICFI University, Jharkhand. And my paper, I have presented my paper on ease of doing business, approaching the context. This is, slide is moving, ma'am?
Yes, yes, you're audible. Please go ahead.
On the slide is moving, ma'am?
It's moving, but it's not in slideshow mode.
Okay, let me do it first. Now it is okay, ma'am.
Yes, now it's okay. Please go ahead.
Okay. First of all, I would like to have general outlay of my presentation. That the 11 slides are there, and the relevance. I have indicated the topics what I have presented in my slides. Now I would like to go for first slide. That is why this topic, relevance and importance of the topic, that is ease of doing business, because it talks about the business environment. I have made it in bold of any country that depict the factors of smoothing the conditions of economic and commercial activities. And dominating aspect is that investment, to attract the investment, which is the engine of growth and development and economic progress. Third one is, it is instrumental in socio-economic development and growth of the country. Socio-economic development, not only economic, socio-economic. And most important one is the society move. It drives the society towards undertaking a set of obvious reforms that are required, which are required for making this sense of ease of doing business. What we are talking about, it may be filled of a legal framework, infrastructure development, tax reform, social and educational development, etc., with an administration capable of providing good law and order situation, etc. Now now I would like to have some small attempt toward definition, which are developed over the time. The ease of doing business may be called a consolidated impact of simplified laws, rules, regulations, taxation processes, etc., which facilitates the smooth business operations. And of course, it should have the proper backup of developed infrastructural facilities like transportation, law and order position, banking and financial system, along with the presence of conducive quality population, which is the having the role both as consumers as well as human resources for the business. It is our outlook. And on the other hand, we see towards the World Bank report 2006, which have given 10 factors, and those factors are used for ranking any countries in the course of ease of doing business. These 10 factors are procedural formalities of starting a business, licensing issues, labor laws, property registration, credit availability, investors protection, taxation, cross-border trade, contract enforcement, and closure of business. This is the World Bank criteria. Now, I have done some literature review and literature survey given by different researchers, and my conclusion has been they have reached on different conclusions, but all are almost indicating towards with different degrees that international ranking of ease of doing business should be improved. However, it is also seen that there is positive correlation with the investment environment and ease of doing business, and of course both are synergizing each other. That is, ease of doing business is there, positive correlation, and the business environment will be improving, and if business environment is improving, then ease of doing business is automatically gets improved. However, for underdeveloped countries where growth and development both matters, in that case they cannot adopt all sorts of reform as suggested by World Bank, because some of them cannot be suit their contemporary requirements of development or growth, etc. However, at different states of degrees, they can adopt this. Many times, extra commercial interest, like we can see geopolitical interest or some other bondings, defies the ranking of ease of doing business in the aspect of investments. Other factors also work, as the suggested by different literature review. An implication of different aspects of starting and conducting the business at micro level. That we mean to say that overall at macro level we can see any country, but at micro level, at sub-economy level, at states level, at taluka level, village level also matters much. They also play a significant role. On paper, there may be a lot of ease of doing business, but in ground realities, there may not be so much good implementation over the issue, and that's what affect the ease of doing business at sub-economy level also. And this is generally prevalent among all, particularly among the developing countries. And in Indian, when we come to Indian context, second stage economic reforms are much in vogue these days. Tax reforms are also there, but till now they are still to deliver the desired revenue collections, though showing some recovery in recent times also. Analysis at sub-economy level is very important, very useful opinion in the option in this country. It is developing country, as we know. And the last one is the fact that India's ranking in ease of doing business was 63 out of 179 countries, which have shown regular improvement over the period of over the period of time, as we can see in the last statement. And what steps are being taken? We have gone through some steps. Disinvestment of PSUs, labor reform law is also being reformed, and remodeling of bureaucracy is on. As we can see these days, government is much more apprehensive in that, and also another drive is reducing the compliance burden. Adoption of GST is there, taxation reforms. Redundant rules are also being looked after, and they are getting to be reduced from the government burgeoning trends. Decriminalization of the acts and rules are also being identified these days, and DPIIT is the nodal department for all these things, and it propagates to all departments to identify rules lying within them which can be decriminalized or can be redundant and be laid off. This is the present scenario. And when we reach to conclusion, it's our authors' observations. Though few studies have also highlighted some gray areas of ranking exercises, but generally they don't oppose the need of the betterment, improvement in the ease of doing business, which is vital for attracting investment and propagating socio-economic reforms. And second one is the multi-pronged actions are required for making this happen. It may be by lawmakers, executive machinery, education among the common citizens, with positive mindset and confidence in the efforts as well. However, there should be leaders. Lead roles are taken by the government at all levels and from civil society as well. And of course, there are so many stakeholder consultations on behalf of government, which puts both of these important factors together and ensure commitments so that ease of doing business ranking can be improved. And thereafter, I can share some references what I have gone through. These were the references, some of the references. In references, you can see that I have also gone through DPIIT website. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Pawan, for this insight. It's a different domain paper. So what exact was your inference after this paper? As in, when you say that you are building a context, so what context have you built or what context have you approached after the survey that you've done?
After, this survey, basically, madam, I work in the Department of Pharmaceuticals, Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Chemical and Fertilizers. And there I was actively involved in such exercise, ease of doing business, reducing the compliance burden. And that's what propagated me to take over this exercise and go through the survey through pharmaceutical companies, basically taking the sample of pharmaceutical companies, big, small or medium, that after implementation of GST especially, what sort of ease of doing business they are feeling. Either it may be reduced, their reduced pressure or some other has been increased. And with that, with those consultations, I am in the process of designing the survey questionnaires so that I can go forward.
Okay, thank you so very much, Pawan. Thank you.
Thank you
All
very
the
much.
best for your research.
Thanks, ma'am.
Now I would like to invite Manish Kumar Abhishek for presenting his work on priority queue-based framework for allocation of high-performance computing resources.
Hello, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening.
Could you please give me the right to share?
Yeah. Jay, could you please go?
Yeah,
Yes,
I can share.
you
I can share. Hi, is it visible and I'm audible?
Yeah.
Yes, you
Okay.
can.
Okay. Yeah. Hi all. Myself, Manish Kumar Abhishek. I'm research scholar for KL University and working as a senior manager in Indian Railway. So my this is part of my PhD work. So I'm going to present a priority queue-based framework for the allocation of high-performance computing resources. So basically, in earlier days, actually in HPC era, everything on the bare metal server, on like a physical server with the MPI interface with the high-speed InfiniBand for the large data processing. Later on, cloud picks the gain the scenario, and we all talking about how we can use the metering, billing, and ease of using self-provisioning portal with the cloud. So cloud, yes, cloud provided that services with their ease of computing resources, but HPC is still in the silo. And it still require a very large cluster, massive parallel computing for connected with the high speed interfaces and with and stated in the different R&D organization like a CDAC, IIT for their HPC kind of job, because there it's require very specific environment. We cannot serve as a cloud. Later on, container comes in the picture, which provide nearly native performance as a virtual machine. So as a container picks gain the scenario, and it's providing the services like a virtualization and native performance like a bare metal. So many company, so many organization like Nvidia, Microsoft, Amazon comes with their container based HPC system. So now they are, if you can see the Azure, Amazon, and the Nvidia system now providing HPC kind of stuff. It means super computing stuff from their cloud interface. So how they enable these kind of services, because cloud need some abstraction layer. So yes, it is through the containers with the GPU assisted tensor flow card, different ASIC card. So there are different way to achieve this part. But if we talk in the case, if we like supercomputing in some IIT, some institution, some CDAC kind of thing, we are dealing with a very large computational problem, and we are dealing with the queue also. If one task is running in the queue, other need to be wait, because this cluster configured as a vanilla way. We cannot put the two tasks at the same time, and it's working like a FIFO, first first in first out. So if any critical or urgent task coming from the somewhere, they need to add in the queue until their number is coming. So my proposed framework, earlier I worked on the how we can containerize high performance computing to near performance like a cloud and the self-service portal and metering. But there is always issue for the queuing. If some student submit the job for the genome sequencing, some for submitted the job for something simulation and modeling, they need to wait for their numbers. So my proposed framework is priority queue based scheduling, which is already we can compare with the operating system. It's a non-primitive way. So on this framework, whenever job is submitted, it's come with their priority, how much priority we want to give, something like a high, very high, urgent, low, and all. So on that base, if job in the queue, we see the priority. On the base of that, the queue could be more changed internally, and whatever the job have a urgent priority will go for the execute first, and it is then overloaded for the HPC manager like Slurm or any whatever the queue manager you are using for the HPC, and that pass to their HPC framework. So basically, algorithm is job scheduler, and whatever the configuration from the HPC cluster, it check it out of the total resources, it's calculate, and on the base of their availability of the resources, whatever the job we wanted to put it on our cluster, priority queue manager see the resources and send to the cluster. This is the algorithm on which we are checking the number of container we wanted to deploy for any such a job, HPC job, and the number of resource we have. And on the base of that, highest priority and rank could be given to the each of the job, and it transferred to the Slurm or Mesos or whatever the torque, whatever the HPC scheduler we are using, and then go for their final job output. These are the test bed configuration, like a 128 GB 128 CPU with a 256 GB RAM, and these are the pods. So if we come with the first come first serve FCFS, the job is not scheduled. So we can see in priority queue, the queue is easily managed for their make span time, and we can see the
Dear presenter,
prioritize.
sorry to interrupt. You have last 1 minute.
Okay, so on the base of the priority, I can see the queue has been, application has been prioritized. So result, yes, if you see there on the priority queue, normally I can see there less, it's taking the less time, 50 or 60 second in compare of their normal job, and 50 and 60 second is very huge time for if we talk about the any supercomputing or high performance computing environment. Conclusion, we already put it, we already gone forward for the container based system for the high performance computing, and it's provide the agility and the layer, extra layer for the Trevor to create a self-service portal metering and this kind of uh, commodity kind of job submission, which is earlier require very specific tool set, very specific technology, very specific skills to submit the job on supercomputer. And these days students start submitting the job on NSM mission from anywhere, and this kind of job submission starting the queuing in the background, and sometime the very urgent job for the simulation like a weather and any testing simulation is got halted because some student or some research simulation is going on. So this kind of priority scheduler will help us to prioritize the job which is required to be execute first, like a weather. So I'm open for the question and answer session.
Thank you so much, Manish, for the wonderful presentation. So certain queries which I have, the algorithms which you have selected are very, old algorithms.
Yes.
So you have new algorithms like shortest job first, longest job first, SJ, LJF. So there are so many advanced algorithms also for scheduling.
Okay.
Why would you go in? And also when you have spoken about high performance computing, so we talk about parallel scheduling also on schedulers if you are using a cloud platform. So why have you not gone into that domain?
Actually, parallel computing or like a supercomputer already have a very advanced scheduler like a Torque or Mesos or any there are many. So Torque is very popular on that, which having this capability to see the job how they are going to fit it out. We need something which is non-primitive, like a job submitted the job, like a 5 universities submitted the job for their research work, and one in Indian Meteorological Department submitted the job for their weather forecast. So we have a job queue. On that job queue, we need to ensure that the weather forecast will run first on the supercomputer, then the research job. So earlier it's a manual job. Somebody click and prioritize the job submitted, and rest we terminated. Here, by this scheduling system in the queue, we automatically schedule that part. So that in that we cannot preempt the job. Once job submitted, we have to wait.
But see, isn't that a basic job of an operating system? Job scheduling is basic job of an operating system.
Yes.
So when we are like, I really couldn't understand whether you are talking about job scheduling in, multi, or you were like you spoke about NVIDIA NGC also, the containers that they have. But then in your implementation, I couldn't see anywhere a parallel architecture being used, or let's say you using high performance computing. So are you talking about a uniprocessing system where you are going to implement this, or are you wanting to implement this on a cloud
actually it's an extensor of my earlier research work, and I am talking on the high performance computing on the cloud. So there the multiple host with their scheduler on the top of that we are scheduling their job.
Right, Manish. Thank you so very much for your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I would like to invite for the last paper, Amol Dhumane, to present his work on cluster-based energy efficient routing in Internet of Things.
Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, Amol, you are audible.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I hope screen is visible.
Yes, screen is visible.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all. So my paper is based on cluster-based energy efficient routing in the Internet of Things. Myself, Dr. Amol Dhumane. So this is the agenda of my paper. So I'm going to elaborate things in this way. Introduction. For introduction, I'll get 30% of the time, theory 50%, then result discussion 10%, and 10% of the time I will take for conclusion and future scope. This is the introduction. We know what Internet of Things is there, and why, what is the place of Internet of Things in what we can say in our life. So Internet of Things is composed by using two words, internet as well as things. It allows the people and things to be connected all together. Okay, where devices are the main users of the IoT ecosystem. So this sentence is very much important. So these are the various properties of IoT system. Any IoT system, you can say that it should be self-adaptable. You can say that it should be self-optimization should be there, self-configuration should be there, self-security, self-description, self-healing. All these properties should the IoT system should have. These are the major concern technologies in any IoT system, like near field communication, wireless network, RFID. These are the basic routing challenges. So my paper is based on the routing. So I need to address all these routing challenges, like deployment of the nodes is random in case of IoT. If we are deploying thousands or lakhs of sensor nodes on the field, which are going to gather the data for us. Heterogeneous, these devices can be heterogeneous, not of same type. Sometimes the devices will be resource rich, sometimes devices will be resource constant and all. Diverse networking standards will be there. Definitely these will be produced, or we can say that developed by different vendors. So due to that, their networking standards might be diverse, as IoT is not having any standard protocol stack, so it can create a problem or pose a challenge. Intermittent connectivity is there due to the limited range, battery lives, changing topologies, mobility of the devices. Multi-hop communication is one more challenge. Due to the low powered short range devices, fault tolerance is one more problem, because unexpected event, even though we are deploying thousands and crores of sensors on the field, so there might be chances that unexpected events may happen, which may cause faults. So your network, the deployed network, should be fault tolerant. Security is one more aspect, and context awareness. The network should, or the nodes that we have deployed in the network, should be aware about the context, and they need to take the decision based on the context, current context, we can say. So that's why there is a need of context awareness in this routing process. Motivation, we can say that our Prime Minister, Indian Prime Minister, talks about digital India. He talked about digital India, smart cities of India before 5-6 years back. So from that, actually, this process starts into came into the picture, and the canvas gets open. So these are the literature survey that we have done. Different papers we have surveyed during this time period. So these are the different papers which I have already listed into my into this presentation. These are the research gap, actually, with the currently problem that our IoT network is facing. So out of that, transmission ranges of sensor nodes are limited, unsuccessful data delivery, we can say lifetime of the sensor nodes need to be prolonged. So we focused on the third topic, actually. As your IoT environment is constantly changing, rapidly changing, devices are mobile, we can say that heterogeneous devices, different vendors are manufacturing it, no standardized protocol stack. So all these reasons are there. So that's why we focused on this particular third point for increasing the lifetime of the node. So this is nothing but the flow of the system. Simple base station will be there initially. So we are going to the field that we have selected is UTN to VT. So random deployment of the nodes will be there. So this is what the deployment of the node. You can see two types of nodes on the field that we are putting: green, blue node and red node. So blue nodes, we can say that these are that shows heterogeneity, actually, different types of nodes. Then we need to select a cluster head out of it, or you can say that forwarding the data to the base station, right? When normal node communicate with the base station, and this is what the optimal path searching in that case. So here it has been shown that this is what the different paths, and from that path we need to select the optimal path. This is nothing but the simple problem statement that we have, on which we have worked in this paper. So this is what the optimal path in this case we have selected, that is shown by the red line. Energy model we have used, this is what the energy model, paper number 41 is the reference to that particular energy model. This is widely used most widely used energy model during this type of simulation in wireless sensor network type of network, or we can say that IoT type of network. So it uses two concepts like multipath feeding, free feeding. When the signal gets transmitted, sometimes obstacles can, it gets what different obstacle and then reach to the low that is shown in the, and direct line of sight shown in the free feeding model. Right, when the dissipation happens your side. So the shown standard equation which has been given, which is referred in my presentation. So using multipath feeding as well as free space model. So energy dissipation happens at the transmitter side also. When transmitter sends the data, obviously some, and when the data for receiving with the antenna and all, and energy is sent over there. We are concentrating on the nodes which are nodes with direct energy supply in, because we are concentrating on increasing the lifetime of the nets that we have deployed in the field. Our battery of the end consumption is started with patients using that. We applied this algorithm actually based used for selecting the class. So we know that optimization algorithm, optimization, gravitational algorithm, and artificial colony algorithm. And we selected this algorithm by error method.
Sorry to interrupt. Your voice is not. Your voice is breaking.
Is like initialize our
Hello.
we need to select a solution which will be optimum. This is again, I'm telling, this is a meta heuristical. Give you the solution which is good from. Is what the difference between what you can say that the algorithm optimization algorithms. So this is, if you know about the particle swarm optimization algorithm, so in that case we can say that the randomly initialized solutions are there. We need to update the positions of this randomly updated initialize the solutions, and for that we require some vectors. So in this algorithm a step vector calculation is given. So using this step vector calculation, we can say that the solutions that we have put initialized in the solution set are moving towards the food source. Two things are there. This dragonfly is nothing but, you can say that this is nothing but small insects, right, that flies around us. Sometimes we might have seen that. So they search the food source, right, and they need to make themselves safe from their enemies or the larger insects. So that is the thing. So here these are nothing but the solution set that we have initialized are considered as like search agent, or you can call it as dragonflies. So these dragonflies has to move towards the proper or optimal solution. So that is what the concept. So for that, for updating the position, so step vectors are there, and this is what the equation related to updating the position. Sorry, position. This is what the step vector calculation is done. This step vector is used for separation, alignment, cohesion, and position of the food source, and position of the enemy for calculating that. Okay, so for separation, alignment, cohesion, position of the food source, and position of the enemy. As time is less, so I have not included all those formulas. I have directly put this formula in this presentation. The position updating is the next page. Here, your dragonfly or the randomly what initialized solutions need to move towards the optimum solution. So these are the equation. Sometimes and every time there is one more case actually. If
Sorry to interrupt, sir. You have last 1 minute.
Okay. So this is what the fitness function. Based on the fitness function, we have calculated the result. We have run this algorithm for you can say that 1,000 number of or 2,000, 5,000 number of iterations. And these are the different simulation parameters for taking the results that we have used in our simulation. And the results we have done parametric analysis and for calculating the align nodes after 2,000 number of rounds when we deployed 100, 200, 300, and 500 nodes. So out of that, these W1, W2, W3, W4 are the parameters which we have used here in the fitness function, whose value is unity if we do addition. And after doing a parametric analysis on these two topics, 2 points, network energy as well as align node energy, we have selected these parameters for doing the comparative analysis. And in comparative analysis, we use those parameters and we compare our algorithm. This is what our algorithm, we compare our algorithm with all these algorithms that are currently existing right now. So Anthony optimization, gravitational gray wolf optimization algorithm, and we have take the reading in terms of number of align nodes when we deploy 100, 200, 300 nodes, and in terms of residual energy when we deploy 100, 200, and 300 nodes. These are nothing but the results. If you see the results, our algorithm is outperforming, or rather performing better than those algorithms. I'm not saying completely outperforming, but it is performing better than the existing algorithms. So the conclusion of the paper is we tried to implement one energy efficient routing protocol, and we are succeeded to increase the lifetime. We can say that compared to the existing algorithm, this is what the future was. So we can include all that stuff in the future work. We can include sleep mechanism, but as we have not considered that, we can include compressed sensing, which is called as a data fusion. Right now, it is a buzzword. So all these things that we can implement in the future scope. These are my various papers I have referred. And thank you. This is what my presentation. I know that it was a little bit bigger, but I tried to deliver it within 10 minutes of time. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Amol. Good presentation. So
Yeah.
I just have 2 questions about this. One, which simulator have you used for simulating the entire?
In this case, I have used, I have done the entire simulation on MATLAB platform, actually. So these algorithms, like Dragonfly algorithm is Syed Mirzalili already implemented that Dragonfly algorithm. I have taken the algorithm as it is. I did the necessary changes at some places, and then we executed our thing by putting our constraint.
Okay, and as far as the IoT data is concerned, are you using some IoT device, or even that data you are using through a simulator, generating through a simulator?
Complete simulation. We haven't used any device. Actually, I did my I did my PhD work in this area, postdoctoral work in this area. So I found that this algorithm is there, and that is currently came into this thing, right? Published paper. So I tried to use that algorithm. That is what my contribution is there. I changed the fitness function and some parameters. Yeah, but we got better results.
Yeah, there are so many platforms which you can, like Jetson. NVIDIA has a Jetson Nano platform, or you can probably integrate some kind of IoT device to get the real data, so that you can, it becomes more of a live.
I'll tell you one thing.
Rather than just a simulation based.
Whatever you are saying, ma'am, that is okay. I mean, I'm totally agree with that. And with due respect, actually, I just wanted to tell you one thing. If we use those things now, it will cost a lot. So that
no, a Jetson Nano kit will cost you somewhere between 2,000 to 3,000, and if you use a 3 to 4, no, I think it's 4,000 to 5,000. But if you use a Raspberry Pi or an let's say an Arduino board, it will not cost you more than maybe a Raspberry kit, 1,000 rupees, not more than that. So
that is okay,
my point is that you can do it even for, let's say, a small, just gauge the temperature, pressure of body, something like that, so that it becomes just, probably you can patent the technology later if you have.
Yeah, that is true. But in this experimentation,
some hardware which you can show that you have integrated with your system. That's just the suggestion.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. In this case, we have used hundreds of nodes, na? So that was not possible. So due to that, we preferred simulation only.
Right. Thank you so much, Amol. Thank you so
much.
Thank you,
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
So with this, I think we come to the conclusion of the session. So it was a wonderful mix of session where we saw various algorithms ranging from deep learning to NLP to intelligent proctoring systems to how blockchain can be used for various functionalities. So it was a very holistic session that we had. And I would like to congratulate all the participants for their wonderful presentations. In the research world, we must always strive by just proving that our results are better. We don't become good researchers. Remember, before discovering how a bulb should be made, Edison failed 24 times. So when 25th time he invented the bulb, he said that I have also discovered 24 ways of not inventing a bulb. So every time in our research, our results should be good. They should be better than what was earlier. It's not essential. We may be coming up with a totally path-breaking technology where initially the results are not that good. But as we keep progressing during the research, our results may turn out to be better. So I wish you all the best in your research journey. And I look forward to seeing some of you in the next year conference also. Thank you so very much. Over to you, Jay.
Yes, madam. First of all, sorry for the delay of session taking so long. And I'm sorry also my camera is not working. So I sincerely thank our authors for their excellent presentation in this session and all participants for being a part of this international conference. I hope this session was informative enough. All the presenters would be getting their digital certificate through email within 2 working days. Further, all the papers are already forwarded to the Springer. The publication will be live within 5 to 6 months. Kindly cooperate with the team of ICTIS 2022. I also thank our session chair, Professor Meenakshi, ma'am, for chairing the session. And ma'am, this is a token of appreciation from Global Knowledge Research Foundation and ICTIS 2022. Thank you for your valuable time, madam.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I wish everybody all the best. And thank you so very much.
At the last, I will ask all presenters for turn on their camera for a little snapshot for the memory. Please turn on the camera. Thank you all. Thank you so much, ma'am. Once again.
Thank you to everyone and wishing you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you.